Time now to bring in CBS Sports football analyst Emory Hunt. And to make matters worse, Emory, San Francisco is going to be without wideouts Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings for Thursday's action. Rams, they have the 10th best rushing defense in the league. So how much can the 49ers rely on Christian McCaffrey, who at this point in time, he leads the league in total touches?
Well, therein lies the problem, Chris, because it's a short week. You're missing your top two receivers. You're missing your top tight end. You're missing your top quarterback. And you're having to play a division rival that knows your system and your scheme and your personnel extremely well. You should not risk Christian McCaffrey in a workload situation in this particular matchup, because if he's the only stud you got left outside, along your offensive side of the ball, don't run him into the ground. Don't use him as a receiver a lot. Try to manage the carries, manage the touches, and spare his body long term, because you can't go without him, because if you lose him, you're SOL, so therein lies the issue for San Francisco. I'll be fascinated to see how they attack this game, how they play this game, how they divvy up the carries between him and Robinson, how they kind of spare Christian McCaffrey's workload in this ball game, knowing that it's a short week because of what's going on around them. So this is a fascinating game for San Francisco based on how they utilize the personnel that they have available.
Yeah, a lot of things not going well for the 49ers, and you just don't know if their window has passed, right? But anything can happen in this league. Now, the Ravens, they've got a lot of issues. It's been a disaster of a season. What is a Super Bowl or bust year? With Lamar Jackson injuring his hamstring against Kansas City, that forced him to leave before the game was over. It could get even worse. He didn't practice on Wednesday. The team is already banged up at a variety of positions. And if Action Jackson cannot go, Emory, against the Texans, Cooper Rush will make his first career start as a Baltimore Raven. And we know how valuable Jackson is to Baltimore, right? Just 1-3 at the moment. So does their season hinge on his availability this week in your eyes?
That's a great question. I wouldn't say this week per se, but this week is very critical because they're already 1-2 in the AFC. They lost to Buffalo and they lost to Kansas City. They can't take a loss to the Houston Texans, because we know how things get in week 17, week 18, when you're looking at the divisional standings of who can get into the postseason, well, who has the better record within the conference or the division. Man, this is a huge game. And so if you need your guy to be 100%, don't allow him to rush back in this game versus the Texans, although I understand because of how critical this matchup is. But when you look at Cooper Rush perhaps starting in this ball game, I know they have Derrick Henry. I know they have some weapons around him at receiver and tight end. But, man, without Lamar Jackson, now teams can say, hey, okay, cool, we'll just load up, stop Derrick Henry, and dare Cooper Rush to beat us passing the football consistently down the field. Therein lies the problem for Baltimore in this game. But Lamar Jackson is the reason why the Ravens are who they are. Their defense is not good yet, so they need him to play. I don't know if they can force him out there this week versus Houston, despite it being such a critical matchup at this juncture of the season.
Yeah, just because of how much value he brings. Of course, you want to bring him, you want to have him on the field every week. But if you got to miss this week, okay, fine. And then hopefully he'll be able to ready to go for the rest of the season. Now, Kevin Stefanski, the Browns head coach, confirmed on Wednesday the Browns are going to start rookie Dillon Gabriel versus the Vikings. Joe Flacco, bench after 1-3 start. Now, Shedeur Sanders, he remains the third QB on the depth chart, and he had a curious response when asked about the Browns' QB situation on Wednesday. Take a listen.
What are your thoughts on just remaining at that third quarterback? Vocally, anything to say about it?
Emory, now obviously, Shedeur was responding to criticism from Rex Ryan, who said all this guy does is just run his mouth. He needs to just get in the film room and study. So that's why you see the pantomiming by Shedeur. What do you make of this whole Browns QB situation that just seems to be never-ending drama?
A lot to unpack here, Chris. I'm glad I'm on the show to unpack it for you guys. Let's start at the top with Kevin Stefanski and how he bungled this entire quarterback competition all throughout the season, because we saw what Joe Flacco played like the last time he was with the Browns in that playoff game. We saw what Joe Flacco played like with the Indianapolis Colts. They got him to be re-benched for Anthony Richardson, and we saw what we knew coming in what that was going to look like for the Browns this season. So you just wasted 3 to 4 games with Joe Flacco when you could have gave these reps to one of these rookies, if not both of these guys, during training camp? Because we said this, after both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders played their 2 preseason games, hey, if they can give you baseline play, why do you need a Kenny Pickett? And now you look at, hey, why do you need a Joe Flacco? They could have used these games to get both of these guys reps to figure out which quarterback who they think is their guy moving forward. This was my number 1, Shedeur Sanders, and my number 9 quarterback in the NFL draft, this past draft class. So they got good talent. And so he mishandled this whole situation from jump. Secondly, when you look at the comments about Shedeur Sanders, man, I'm so glad I was raised with confidence and raised to have confidence in myself, because we see how confidence rubs some people who are not confident the wrong way. And one day they tell this guy, you talk too much when they ask a question, you can't be confident that you could be a starter in the NFL. Then the next day they tell him, shut up. Then the day after that, he doesn't say much. And now don't shut up like that. We want you to say, like, so he can't win. And it's a shame because it's starting to get a little bit personal. These are the same type of beat writers and analysts. If a coach or a player shot back at them, they'd cry, oh, this is bullying. Oh, this is not how it's supposed to be. Oh, woe is me. But when they do it to a player, they attack a player like this. Now it's supposed to be, well, you're supposed to be able to handle this and answer the question. Why are you attacking the third string quarterback? What's funny is that they'll say, hey, why are we talking about Shedeur Sanders all the time? You the one talking about him. He's a third string quarterback. This should have been the day you went and talked to Dillon Gabriel or Joe Flacco. So you get what you asked for, get it because you asked for it. I'm just sick of everybody being so sensitive about this young man and allowing him to not do his job behind the scenes. He's going to get his opportunity to play. And then once he goes out there and plays really well, everybody wants to be Shedeur Sanders holding the wrists up now. But right now, it's all fair game.
That's my biggest thing. Like, why are we even talking to the third string QB after QB2 got bumped up to QB1? I think that's the biggest misstep here, because I'm not concerned about the QB3. I'm concerned about, Dillon Gabriel and Joe Flacco, who got benched, and then Dillon, who gets to start. So very well said, Emory Hunt. We appreciate it. And go ahead.
I will say this, thirdly, too, with everyone saying, why is he not the backup? Like, no, this is how it should have been from Jump Street. One of the rookies should have started. Joe Flacco gives you a good backup quarterback in case the guy gets hurt. And then if the rookie plays terrible, then you go to the other rookie where you still have Joe Flacco as the backup, the bridge. So this is how it's supposed to be. It's not like saying Shedeur Sanders didn't win the backup job even though Flacco got benched. No, this is how it's supposed to be, how it should have been from the time they drafted both of these guys in April.
Yeah, maybe you should be the Browns head coach. Take over.
My hotline is always open, Cleveland. Hit me up.
All right, Emory Hunt. Always appreciate your insight and your honesty. And we've got a loaded day in the NFL on Sunday. Broncos on the road against the Eagles. Can they take them down? Texans, Ravens. Perhaps we will not see Lamar in that one. Giants coming off a huge win against the Chargers, on the road against the Saints. Then Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Titans, Cardinals in that 4:05 window.